Hey, 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 good evening, good afternoon, good night, and welcome to the stream. If you're not familiar with the stream, don't worry, I have the name for it right below, the Melanated Council. And if you're still new, which is okay if you are, we don't judge, just letting you know that we stream every other Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, specifically Pacific time. We stream around 6 p.m. Say that 3 times fast. And wherever you are in the world, and we're streaming and it says live, and we're doing very live things, like if you comment and we respond to your comment, that means we are live. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the show. So we have a great episode for you all tonight. We're going to be in honor of, Women's History Month. Where There we go, Women's History Month. We are going to be talking about, just the amazing women authors, female authors, that we, whose books that we've read, books that we're planning on reading, and even just authors who like we may haven't read their books or read them yet. All of the above, if they've ever like inspired us in any sort of way, and just yeah, or books that even didn't inspire, maybe just made us upset, and they were like, that was a waste of time of a book, and I just want to share. Um, I'm pretty excited for this episode. I'll just admit straight up, I am not the biggest, like, I'm a big reader, but I'm not a big, like, deep reader, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't really read very deep topics. I've tried. They're on my bookshelf, and you'll see the bookmark probably 35 pages in, and it's about 400 pages. Sometimes these books are just too deep, and I'm like, life's already hard. I don't need any more of this. If you're new to the channel, we usually like to start our episodes, kind of at an upbeat note, just try to recap what we've been up to for the past 2 weeks. I'm excited to share. Yesterday, I recorded the first episode of my new podcast series called Moment of Clarity. It's about It's where I interview just the really awesome, amazing men in my life who grew up nerdy, were still pretty nerdy, and are not trash. They're just amazing men. And it's been fun. I recorded the first episode last night with a really close friend of this live stream of the pod, Gil Dormius, and I will be recording the second episode on Thursday, and then I have another interview lined up the following Monday, so I'm going to be pretty busy, but I'm excited. It's a video podcast, which I'm new to. I know that sounds very ironic because I do a live stream podcast every other Tuesday night along with my other two co-hosts, Toby and Ron. But pre-recording something and editing and doing all that stuff is just not in my house of wheels. I so it's going to be a new venture, but I'm excited. I'm excited to learn. I've done it a little bit, and it's pretty fun. There's definitely an art to it, and I'm excited to learn because I have the tools. I have, like the video software editing tools anyway, so it's like, I might as well learn this. I've also recorded 2 new episodes of my podcast, the Agreeable Gray Area podcast, and I shared them both Sunday. I took a word of my advice of pretty much how we do the live stream here, and just recorded, did very minimal editing, and just sent it. I was just tired. I hadn't posted a new episode since August. I thought it was September. Not like that makes a massive difference in the grand scheme of things, but It did for me. I was like, well, I did it September. But August just sounds so much further away than September. September feels like more recent. I'm just telling myself that. Both are bad. Great months, but not good if that was the last time you did something something that you actually do thoroughly enjoy. While I was recording, I was remembering how much I do enjoy this. It's just it can be a bit of a hassle. For example, I was trying to record on the this DJI Mic 2. I think it's not. I don't think it's on Mic 2 Mini. I think it's just on Mic 2. And as you can see, like y'all can hear me because it's just connected straight to my laptop via Bluetooth. However, when I tried to do that and try to record on, I use Adobe Audition, and it just wasn't connecting, or it was connecting, but it was being weird, and it was using both the microphone and the speaker on Adobe Audition. I'm like, I don't think this is a speaker. Maybe it is. I'm still learning. Maybe it can talk to me, and I don't just have to talk to it. But it was like, no, I need to put for my laptop speakers, and it was just not having it. Turns out I need to get a receiver to connect to my laptop for it to work on Adobe Audition. So I know. Mainly it was just because I was too lazy to grab one of the mics. I have two mics here, and I didn't want to just unscrew the thing that's attached to it and then bring it up here to to my desk and screw it in and then record and then have to go back. I know that sounds very, very minor, very first world problem, or like, oh, why don't you just bring your laptop over there and record? It's like, I can't really do that unless I get a very long USB-C cord. I wonder if I do have that. I think I actually might. Thank you. You're right. I should probably try that. Try that next time. Yeah, so that's what's been going on with me lately. I'm very excited. I'm going to try to release the episodes on Mondays for the video podcast, Moment of Clarity. And not next Monday, but maybe the Monday after, I'm going to try just do just some editing, share the link with whoever I recorded, saying like, hey, is this good? And if they give me the thumbs up, I'm like, I'm just posting it, because I'm so tired of perfection. Perfection can be very tiresome, and it's also impossible. It's better to just share your hard work, share the things that you're working on. It doesn't matter if you come off as braggadocious, it doesn't matter if you come off as haughty, it doesn't matter if you come off as, like pompous or anything. Like, you're more than likely not. You're just sharing something that you love, that you like. Sharing is probably one of the most natural things human beings can do. It's very unfortunate that we tend to diminish our light, and whilst doing so, we don't realize that we're dimming other people's view of the world, or like dimming how they see you. I shared my podcast, Agreeable Gray Area, with like some of my friends, because sometimes I don't know who I've shared it with and who's not, because I'm still like shy about it, which I just have to share it and be shy at the same time, because no one says you can't do that. And one of my good friends, like she listened to the first episode, which was recorded back in, I want to say, 2022. It's almost 3 years ago at this point. I don't know when in 2022. It could have been 3 years. No, it wasn't. I don't know, whatever. So like about 3 years ago. And apparently I was drunk when I did that episode. I didn't maybe not drunk off my ass, but I was not sober, because I must have been very nervous, most likely, because I would do that. That definitely sounds like me. In earlier episodes of even the Melanated Council here, I was I would drink before an episode sometimes just to shake off the nerves. Now I don't really need to do so, which is great. But I guess I was talking about some family stuff, and my friend was like, she was like, yeah, like I felt the exact same way as you growing up, and I really appreciate that you shared that, and it made me feel really good because that's that's sort of one, like one of the reasons. It's definitely a reason to keep going, and it's one of the reasons why I tell other people to share and to talk because and just like open up because sometimes like what you have to say is could really just like change somebody's life or perspective on things. So in a way, I guess I'm just taking my own advice and doing my own podcast with that. And yeah, I guess I need to be more brave and just do it or just, take my own advice and do it scared. But yeah, so once again, so the reason why it's called Moment of Clarity is there's a line from Jay-Z's The Black Album, the song Moment of Clarity. There's a line that goes, "You record, I recall, because I really been there before." And what that essentially means is that there's a lot of rappers who are just saying a bunch of BS, acting like they're somebody that they're not, talking about, whatever the rap game, drug dealing, gangbang, what have you. And it's just absolute false. Whereas when Jay-Z talks about it, he's recalling, he's thinking back and telling you what it is because he's actually been there before. And I feel as though, especially with just a lot of the direct, like a lot of like podcasts and, especially like nerd spaces and gaming spaces, something that I grew up on, something that is like in my DNA. I've been watching anime since I was like 5 and, playing video games before I like even learned how to read. It's I'm not saying like the nerd space was always like positive but it wasn't like this. And it's weird how it's just like nerd spaces have just become very toxic. I know that's everyone's favorite word and it's not used a bunch at all. It's just become very it's just unfamiliar. And I don't think it's because I'm getting older, because I'm not even that old. I can absolutely relate and understand to even like rap music and hip hop and things like that of like today's age and just understand like, okay, yeah, this is similar to, me growing up listening to Trina. So it's like, okay, I can get that, but like, I don't know, just anime spaces, nerd spaces were a lot more inclusive than it is now, and it was a lot less toxic than it is now, and it's just it's like something just doesn't taste right. It feels like this like they're just putting in different flavors and seasonings that don't mix up with it, and it's just creating like a very negative, self-hating and like woman hating and like just diversity hating kind of group. And that's not what it was. I'm not saying that nerds were always great with women. It was just they weren't like this. Um, so someone I would love to bring to the stage is a man who is nerdy. I would bet my bottom dollar that he is quite nerdy. He's also an amazing human being. He is incredibly kind and thoughtful. He is a go-getter. he doesn't think things are out of his realm of possibility. You know, he doesn't like impossible is a very foreign word to him. And he will absolutely be a guest on my podcast. I've spoken to him about this. This isn't like his first time hearing about this. This isn't like a surprise to him. And no, this isn't the podcast right now. This isn't a surprise to y'all either. Surprise podcast. But yes, without further ado, I would love to bring on the amazing, lovely, wonderful, kind, handsome Ron.
Okay. I love it. Hold on, let me get my ball. I'm going to eat all of that up. I'm going to eat all of that up. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? OMG. So, first and foremost, I got to see the first episode. I got to see it. And then number two, did you mention where the Agreeable Grade podcast is being streamed on or watched or listened to?
Oh, the Agreeable Gray Area. You can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple, not YouTube yet. I gotta turn those from private to public. I don't know why I've been nervous, but I gotta just flip the switch and just turn it on. Because Google Podcasts are not YouTube podcasts. Of course, everybody knows Google owns YouTube, but consolidated it, which was a smart business move, I would say. iHeartRadio, I'm on there as well. Yeah, I think I might be on Stitcher. I think so. I gotta double check. I think I did Stitcher, but definitely on the top ones, and I'll turn on YouTube because I gotta do that. I'm just once again scared, but I'll just do it scared.
Yeah, but then again, I also understand the hesitation. Like, I get it because YouTube, if anybody who's been around on YouTube or new has done anything that on YouTube, we already know YouTube for whatever reason brings out all of the crazies from the woodwork, and they're right there. Like, where did you come from? Like 1,000 years ago, and why are you here? Like, no, go back and link the rock where you came from, because nah. So no, I get it. But also at the same time, like we've said here on this channel, especially you said this too. If you're gonna do anything, do it scared.
Yep, if there's something you want to do, you're too afraid to do it, just do it scared.
Because at least it shows you have the courage to do it. But man, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I'm excited. Like, yay! Which means, I got to get on my act right, and I think I got to re-download Spotify. No, iHeartRadio. I can do iHeartRadio.
Okay.
I can do iHeartRadio. I got it linked to my one of my Gmail accounts, but yeah, I'm gonna do iHeartRadio.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm so happy for you. And then with the video podcast, are those private until further notice, or?
Well, I've only recorded one. It's not live anywhere. It's just only on my computer right now. Because I still have to edit it. I literally recorded it last night.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, yeah.
Fair. I get it. I just thought I would ask. Just throw it out.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah.
And again, pause, stop, rewind, stop, play. Because of the fact that I know you do amazing work and I
Thank you.
know you are an amazing woman. And yes, this is Women's History Month, so why not? But again, just showing that support and just being another listener and everything else because you do have some valuable insights. Like as soon as you said that, yeah, I dropped 2 episodes on the gray area. I'm like, wait, what? You did? When? Where? I need my fix because I've been itching for it. I'm like, when are we going to get another podcast? Like, when? And to hear that there's 2 episodes, like, what? I got to get caught up.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like a bonus episode of just catching up on what I've been doing, and I don't know. It was just like a stream of conscious. It was like whatever.
Hey, some days it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Some days it'd be like that.
I was like, okay, let me record the actual episode I wanted to record. Just to get that out of my system. It just felt very disingenuous to just act like I wasn't gone for like I don't know how many months, whatever, 9 months, 6, no, it's like 7 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when you still just whoa, hold on. Let me get myself back in the frame, because like half of my head is like cut off and then the other half is like
Blurry.
uh-huh. I know. I got it. Whoa, no. Not, all right, I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, we don't have to deal with like half floating head, half not floating head, and whatnot. So, just to kind of piggyback off of L and whatnot, as far as recap goes. So, Friday took my oldest. He's a senior. If you guys know, if you've been following, you know I have a senior this year. Teardrop. So I have a senior this year, and we're doing college visits, and we went to a Christian college down in Indiana. It's a small college, but it also feels very big. And it's like a lot of things are really within walking distance. And he actually liked it. He met the track coach. He also met one of his good friends is going there. His god brother, well, we call him his brother, my godson. He already got accepted to it, and so we're like, dude, you probably will have a good shot at going. And so he was like, yeah, he's like, I actually really liking everything else. And unlike most colleges and universities, as a freshman, for whatever reason, you're not able to drive your car. Some colleges and universities, as a freshman, you can't do it. This one, on the other hand, they're like, yeah, go for it. Why not? You know, it's like you're not going to be too far away from home. Where it's like you're far away from home, but you're still relatively close enough that if you miss home, you could drive. And we already told him, like, dude, like by the time you graduate high school, you're already going to have your first car. Like you already told us what you wanted. You told us you didn't necessarily care about the color and whatnot. And so me being dad that I am, like that's what I've done. I got a list of cars. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna vet out, and whichever one I feel is safe enough for him that he can drive it and he won't have any kind of mechanical issues during the time of him with this car. That's all I care about. That is all I care about. And so did that. What else? What else did I do? I got a new phone. I'm actually loving it. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it. So for anybody who knows anything about the Motorola Razr, It's basically an updated version of the old school Motorola Razr that came out like years ago. This one is very functional. It's small, compact. It doesn't even feel as though you're having like a big phone. And like a lot of the things that you can do, you can actually do it with it closed and on the main screen, which is cool, which is really like bet. Like if I don't worry, those are my alarm systems going off. They're letting me know that somebody's outside and they may or may not be less than friendly. I get it. So hey, it's okay. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Hey, get down. All right, I'm back. Good dogs. They may get a treat soon, but no. Like I said, it's a really neat phone. I've been eyeballing it, but I was kind of like, well, I want it, but then again, I don't want it. But at the same time, like I don't necessarily want an iPhone. I don't necessarily want Samsung. The Google phones, like the Google Pixels, I'm like, okay, I could possibly get into a Google phone, but I'm like, but I've had LG for a long time, and LG, that was my go-to phones until, they just went out of sight, out of mind. And then like, okay, fine, like I'll go with a Motorola. I know they've been making a comeback and they've been doing some really cool stuff and everything else. And with this, like I said, with the Razr that just came out, I was like, I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And like I said, so far, I'm loving it. I am loving it. I'm grateful with the purchase. I really do recommend renting it, especially for people that are like into photography or videography. If you want to do like a lot of podcasting stuff, or if you're streaming on your phone, it actually can do that, where you can set it up where on the back end you can fold it in half, not necessarily close it. You can fold it in half so it kind of has like a screen feature, and then the base acts like a base or a stand. You could flip it around and have the back portion kind of act like a computer screen, so you can actually see yourself in real time, make the adjustments that you need to, so your presentation looks better. And it's like, cool. Or if you're doing it, you can flip it like sideways and turn it into like an actual camcorder. And so you have that option as well. I'm like, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like a big plus. So for those individuals, if you're looking kind of like for a phone, you have to plug the Motorola Razr and go for it. Check it out and everything else. So got that. Weekend was a whole whirlwind. So my grandmother, she celebrated her 83rd birthday last week, and we did a bowling party for her this past Sunday, which was cool, which was great. I didn't realize she was 83, but even then, looking at her, she does not look 83 at all. She doesn't even look like she's 70. Like that's how young she looks. She looks like she could be mid to late 60s, maybe pushing early 70s. And for the longest, I thought she was still in her 70s. It's like, no, I'm 83. I'm like, wait, what? When did you turn 80? Like when did you pass 75? But she had fun. She still bowls. She bowls in the league, and she's just a phenomenal woman. I'm like, cool, great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, yes. And like she was like, oh, I didn't get a chance to see you bowl. Like, don't worry, I was watching you bowl the whole time, and like I seen you get your strikes. I done seen you get your spares and everything else. Like I saw all of that. She said, really? I'm like, oh yeah. Like whenever you got your strikes, oh yeah, I make sure I clap for you because I want to let you know that I saw that. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Then plus, this is the same person who introduced me into bowling anyway. So I'm like, why not?
That is so cool.
Yeah. Oh yes. I'm like, mind you, this is also the same grandmother who said, "Hey, let's take a road trip to California when my dad passed," and you know, had a whole entire adventure and a blast on the road. It was phenomenal. Like I told my kids, like you don't see many grandmothers who are actually able to do a lot like your great grandmother, my grandmother, has been able to do. Like it's almost unheard of. Especially because she's up there in age. Like, yeah, it's definitely unheard of. Like, take advantage of it because you may not get this opportunity to do it again. And they're like, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, I'm like, just saying, just take it for what it's worth. And so
Mm-hmm.
did that. Um, got a new toy.
Okay.
I got a new toy. And I don't know if the missus is watching or not, but I got her one too.
Okay.
Yeah. On top of the fact she said she wants another one. I was like, okay, I already know which one you want. So yeah. So we'll table that discussion for a later time. But yeah. So oh my gosh, like so much has been going on, especially just knowing that this is the season for graduations and all the other fun stuff. And it's been, I would say, the last past couple of weeks. It's just kind of been like a blur, really. But I'm happy for it. And I'm not going to delay the time any longer. Elle, you want to take over the reins and lead us on?
Sure. I just thought of like Santa Claus, like I don't know why. Anyways, just rains, reindeers,
Uh,
and anyway, yeah. So, uh, as mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about just the women authors that we've read or admire, or books that we're planning on reading, and just talk and discuss about. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun and chill episode. I figured, I don't know. Like I can't remember the last, like we've always had like just, fun episodes, but something that's just, talking.
mhm.
Hey Rocky, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So as um as I mentioned earlier, I just like reading lighthearted rom-com books. I started reading consistently just a couple years ago, honestly. Um, might have been, I don't know, it could have been longer. I don't know. I can't remember when I started, just a couple years ago, not less than 5 years, let's say.
Mhm.
I read, quite a few books prior, but it would take me a long time, or I wasn't able to find my like the genre that I liked.
Gotcha.
Like that took me a long time. It was really, really difficult because I don't know if this was, just throughout the years, there's been, like Black Lives Matter movement, there's been Me Too movement, there's been, just a bunch of like talks about like race, sex, gender, like um especially like I felt I had to read, just like or planning on reading or whatever, like black authors like Toni Morrison and like Angela Davis and like Bell Hooks. And I'll be quite honest, I haven't read their books yet. I do have an Angela Davis book that I went and saw her, like she spoke at a local university, and she was able to sign the book. So I have that. It's Freedom is a Constant Struggle.
Okay.
But I tried reading it a little bit. It is so heavy. It's like for people who study this type of stuff, or people who like love it. I might read it someday. It's just, not my cup of tea. Or maybe, if something happens and it becomes my cup of tea, or, inspires me, then possibly. But as of right now, it, I'm enjoying what I've been reading. So I have that book. I have, so you want to talk about Race by, can't pronounce it. It's like Ijeoma. Can't remember her last name. That's in the bookshelf somewhere. Um, it's one of those books where it's like, I'll be straight up honest with you. It's interesting. Like it's good. Like it definitely had some good ways of like pointing things out. It was just it's one of those. I just felt like that would have been a great book for white people to read. Honestly, just non-black people, to understand the difference between racism and classism, because there's always the very annoying conversation that classism is more important than racism. It's more serious than racism, and there's that whole like, you can't have racism without classism, or just whatever words that need to be said to make white people feel okay about whatever. But just any way to erase racism and race is just white people's jam. So that kind of crap annoys the crap. Hey, Aisha. That kind
Hey.
of Hey, thanks for joining. That kind of crap just like really annoys me, because you can definitely have racism without classism.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah, LeBron James, a lot of black folks experience racism, and they are not in our class. They're in a class that we'll probably never be.
Fair.
Are there a lot of overlaps with racism and classism? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same thing? No. Is one more important than the other? No. Like, it's like, oh, after we deal with classism, then we could go with racism. Like it's like some hierarchical like to-do list. No, we have to attack everything all at once. That's why it's annoying and it sucks. Anyway, so
Yes. Agreed. 1,000% agreed.
Yeah. And so so that's that book. I didn't quite like read it. The Devil You Know, a Black Power Manifesto by Charles M. Blow. I know the entire thing rhymes. I don't think it's supposed to. it just happens. I think he's a writer for the New York Times, or was like a columnist. Great book. Never finished it. Quite eye-opening, but very interesting. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And then I think it was like the second season of Bridgerton. After I finished it, like I absolutely loved it. I was like, I really truly enjoyed it. Like I keep coming back and watching it and watching parts, and I'm just like truly enjoying it, because I just love like the romance and like kind of like the whimsy, and just like the classic rom-com or just romance tropes of enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, or like, oh, let's pretend that we're not into each other, then we just all the classic stuff. I love it. My favorite movie genre is like Hallmark Christmas movies. Like I love the silly romance that's just like, what's gonna happen. It's gonna be silly, it's gonna be stupid, but you're gonna be happy at the end. And there's just something nice about it. There's something like just comforting. I don't really need, I don't need something deep or thought provoking. Sometimes I just need a silly ass story. Just something
Mhm.
just junky. Yes, yes, Bridgerton amazing. So years prior, I had bought a romance novel simply because it was a black woman with a white man on the cover, and I'd never seen that. So like, um, I was like, oh, this is cool. I bought it. I think I found it online, and I bought it, and I was trying to read it like a little bit. I was like reading it before work in the car from like, and then I don't know, I just never really had time, so it was just kind of living on my bookshelf. Then I decided to pick it back up and try to read it again, and I was already reading before bed, but I didn't really like reading very heavy things, so I can't remember the author's name. I'll have to like go in the bookshelf and read it. But she's a black woman, which I thought was really cool. Just just like a it's called A Duke by Default, and it was like a fun book. It's part of a series. I never bothered reading the other of the series. I just read that one, and it just kind of got me into like reading like romance, like rom coms. Like, oh yeah, I do enjoy this. So I started finding books by Black women authors, like just rom coms by Black women authors, and I've just been doing that ever since. Like I have um, two books by Christina Forrest. Great books. Yeah, they are.
There we go. There we go.
uh, I want to say three books by Jasmine Guillory. Um, I have just like a handful and a couple of others. I got myself a library card for that reason because I didn't want to just keep buying books because like I had like this one book and I bought it, I read it, and I didn't really like it. And I'm also the slowest reader on the planet, so it's not like I could read it and then return it. So I've just been it's a just kind of it was an okay book. I didn't like hate it. It's just I don't really have any interest in reading the others in the series. So, but yeah, like it's just I love reading it before bed. I recently a romance indie bookstore has opened up pretty close to me, and I've gone there a few times. I met the owner. Like she's awesome. She's Latina. She's a veteran,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, and I follow her on like social media, like the bookstore. It's called Steamy Lit because it's all just romance novels. Has all sorts of romance novels, queer romance novels, like fantasy romance, just regular romance. Sometimes they're just like so crazy. Yeah, yeah. I gotta tell you, they're trying to open one in Miami too, but they're having some issues. They also opened one in Tampa, like a location in Tampa, which is really cool. Um, but yeah, it's it's been really cool. Like yeah. So the last time I went there, and I didn't even know like so my card broke down. I make it sound like it was like extreme, like it really just needed like this little tiny ass part. But yeah, I wasn't like I couldn't something was going on with the front brake, so I couldn't move forward, but I could reverse. And I was like I was with my boyfriend and I like reversed like in the middle of the street into like this it was like a funeral home or former funeral home. It had also died. And
Oh, pun
how's
intended.
the yeah. How's the vibe there at the bookstore? It's really cool. I like it. The book like I really like it. It's like such a cool vibe. Like I feel like they're like my people in a way. Just like obviously like quite like left leaning in thought, and just like open minded. Because if you're a book reader, you kind of have to be like especially like when it comes to fiction and like just reading, especially from different authors as well. So like they really try to promote like Black women, women of color, like queer stories, queer women. But anyway, so like I reversed, and we were just kind of stuck waiting for AAA, and I was like, I think Steamy Lit is nearby, and lo and behold, it was like 4 minutes, like a 4 minute walk. So it's like we might as well go to this bookstore where they probably have AC because it's like 90 degrees outside. There's no reason to just like run my AC in the car and wait for them for 32 an hour and a half, however long they decide to take. So we walked there, and we just had like a good time. There's only one chick working there, like there was nobody there, and we were just like talking to her, and she was like trying to sell, like I guess like she was trying to sell, but like also not. She's just very passionate about this, which I loved, and she was like, oh yeah, this book, like this author, like she's a STEMinist, like she talks about like STEM, like science and technology, like in her books, but it's like feminism at the same time. I was like, okay, and it's just like kind of funny because it's of course it's a fictional novel. Um, that author's name, her name is Ali Hazelwood, I think, and I'm reading her book now. It's called Not in Love, I think. I like it so far, but how the woman was like selling it to me, it's gonna be funny. And I didn't even hear her when she said that. That's how like just how cool this place is. Like she was like, yeah, in this book, blah blah blah, this and that. I was like, and honestly, they're just like effing all the time. But she actually said the word. Like she's trying to sell, and I didn't even notice. It wasn't until like I already bought like I'm like, okay, that sounds great. I bought 2 books. My boyfriend bought 1 book, and and then we went back to the car, and she was like, "Yeah, she just said that, like effing all the time." I was like, "Oh yeah, but she didn't say that." She was like, "No, she did. She said that. I didn't even notice." Notice, but it worked. It worked.
Hey.
Yeah, like it was funny. It was great. But you do you know who else is great?
Mm.
Ron,
Who else is great?
would you like to introduce our next guest, or our next host rather?
Oh,
Would like to
well,
make the cipher complete.
yes. Uh, as I try to wipe whatever is in my eye away. Okay, so this young, distinguished gentleman, he is a gentleman above gentlemen. He is a scholar above scholars. He is the world's most interesting man without being the world's most interesting man, if that makes sense. Like he even makes the Dos Equis guy less interesting because that's how interesting this young man is.
I agree.
And even then, like you can't um put him in the same room with the Dos Equis man because the Dos Equis are like, I can't be in the same room with him. Like he's way too much. Like he is his own vibe by his own self. And even then, he's so smooth and just again a pure gentleman that if you have a sister around and if your sister can cook, he's going to ask your sister, hey, how about you come to my place, cook me dinner, we'll talk, and then I will drop you off home before it's your bedtime. Like, that's how smooth of a gentleman he is. And he will make sure the dessert is done before it's bedtime. And says, hey, we should try it again, like, next week, let's say 7 o'clock. And it's not even a date. He just wants a nice cooked meal.
As he should.
Uh-huh. And what else can I say about this young, distinguished, honorary gentleman, scholar, that cannot be said, other than the fact that he does have a stomach of steel. He does push past the expiration dates. That's just a suggestion, not necessarily a rule to follow by. It's just a suggestion like, should I drink this by such and such date, or can I push it like 4 months past because it still might smell good, taste good, because it sure enough looks good. So we're going to take the gamble, and I haven't heard anything bad from it yet. So obviously he's still around because he wouldn't be our third guest if he wasn't. Just exactly. Or not guest, our third host. There we go. If he wasn't. So
yes.
Without further ado, allow us to bring to the stage to make this whole trifecta complete.
Mm-hmm.
The one, the only, the daring, the scholarly, Toby! Wait a minute!
Hey.
I can't.
That's such a good night. Toby's sure gonna have
Yeah, I feel like I've been like, I don't know, I got hit with inspiration because like, I don't know, like I used to really always look forward to like having names that were so like on point, and I had some pretty crazy names over the years. Oh great, my battery is gonna die. Let me plug this in. But then I don't know, like lately it's just like, okay, I'll come up with something on the fly. And it might be okay. It might work out maybe. But this, I was like, oh, wait, this is actually kind of good. Like, this is like such a perfect pun. It actually works out. Like the whole, are you a library book? Because I'm checking you out, which I've never said actually. And that's, I feel like that's how you get slapped. But actually it depends. It really depends on the context. If they're into it, then I guess it'll work out. But probably don't recommend just going up and starting to say that to people. But thank you for the introduction. When you said what else can you say, I was like Moana, or was it what can I say except you're welcome? I've not seen Moana 2 though.
Yeah.
But I should watch it. What's up all great people in the chat, and obviously the two of y'all here hosting. Yeah. Oof, goodness. Yeah. I just recently woke up from a way too long nap. I was feeling a little down in the trenches, but we're rebounding.
Wow.
We're rebounding.
You okay?
Yeah, I think it was just from taking the medication that I had not been really consistently taking for a while, the last 2 days, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't like. Well, I think I was just ready to knock out. Like earlier in the day, I was just like, I'm kind of ready to knock out, and yeah, kind of mentally too. But I didn't really set like a proper alarm, and I was just like, I don't want to do anything for the rest of today. But then I started waking up on and off, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 9 something, early 9, but still 9, like 9. I don't know, it was before 9:30, maybe 9:20, and then I was like, I need to get up actually and now I feel great. It's always good. It's always a nice boost to be here with you guys. You know, I imagine you guys been sleeping since the last stream. Yeah, that's basically how it's been. They thankfully I'm not a federal government worker, so I was able to just sleep for 2 weeks straight. Being a contractor, we have some leeway to lounge around. No, but there are some interesting transitions going on over there, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've been hearing like that they've rehired the 6,000 USAID employees that they laid off. That's what I heard. Like a lot of people just been posting crap and not having any sort of like article attached to it on threads and the socials. And I'm like, who are you? You can't just be saying things. Like just if you read it in an article, just grab the link.
Yes. Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes, come with receipts, please. Please
how many people were hired and Actually, this is interesting to look up how many people were fired and rehired. 18 workers. According to court records, more than 24,000 workers are now in the process of being rehired after a federal judge's order last week. Yeah, because I know I've been seeing things about, judge block this, judge block that. And so I didn't really look into all the numbers or I just wasn't really I was like, maybe I should wait for things to shake out before really trying to fully figure it out. But, I think it is good to know what's going on. I had a friend of mine who was fired from an agency. That was a pretty targeted firing. It wasn't a big layoff. It was actually 4 people. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of insane. She showed me an article. And thankfully she wasn't named, but it had her. I wouldn't have known if I had just randomly read it, but because I asked wait, which one were you in terms of your position? And she said what she was. And I was like, dang. And that was, not anyone would know, but I was just keeping it a little bit low key. But she was like, yeah, this article was a Fox News article. And I'm sure there's other articles that detail it too. Doge found something and they decided they were going to fire people based on what they saw as abetting the illegal immigrant type of stuff. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. I don't know if she would be eligible to be hired back in this. But especially because they were kind of called out so specifically. It wasn't just a general mass laying off of hundreds or thousands of people. But I don't know. It's a crazy time, that's for sure. The book thing is interesting though, because I know, it's Women's History Month. I'm sure there was some book related day was National Reading Day. I always remember that was a big thing, right? There was always a National Literary Day or Reading Day. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Book. Is it Reading Day? National Day of Reading? Oops.
That's today?
No. Okay, well, there's a National Reading Day on June 19th. Oh, that's India. No. There's definitely some day about Read Across America. No way. Oh, it makes sense. It was March 2nd. That's crazy. That's Dr. Seuss Day. I forget. That's so funny. So anyway, Dr. Seuss is, that birthday is a very special day. So yeah. I'm so sad that I didn't know that March 2nd was Read Across America Day. But because that's the day that I turned 30. But no,
instead of partying and going crazy, you could have been reading.
Yeah, true. I was basically chilling that weekend.
Okay, yeah.
I did actually go out to one little thing that day, but I did not have any plans. I did not have plans to really be outside much. But you're right. That actually could have been an interesting thing if I had really planned it out. And I was listening a little bit about in terms of reading and the library card. Did I actually post? I was trying to post. I don't know if I ended up posting. But I was, because when you mentioned about having a library card, oh no, I didn't end up posting it in the YouTube chat. I got a library card end of 2023 as I was in the job search. So it definitely was not for reading. It was really so I could access LinkedIn Premium and or at least LinkedIn Learning, not necessarily the whole premium suite, but you get LinkedIn Learning.
And I didn't get LinkedIn Premium from.
Oh no, that'd be. I mean, you get Udemy free, which is nice. Which that's pretty good value. I don't know if it's everything, if it's literally every video ever that you could pay for, or if it's a subset. But I was able to find it became kind of obsolete because once I got hired, not too long after that, my company has also Udemy access, so I haven't even had to really use the library card one. But when you go, on the website, whatever county, it depends on what county and what jurisdiction you're in. But it should have the resources. There's also Rosetta Stone. There's free movies, depending on the service, some audiobooks and some other stuff. So it's interesting. Libby, I think, is one popular service. I never used that. I haven't used any of that, but I'm maybe I should just there's so much backlog I have. I have books that I've literally physically bought and I've not read. Like, I would do orders on Amazon every now and then and be like, oh, these books are so interesting. They've been on my list. Let me order them. And then I don't. So it would be nice to kind of like start. And a lot of them are supposed to be like kind of like books that I could use to learn something or self-help. Like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I actually got through that book like 2/3 maybe. I guess the habits weren't strong enough because I didn't finish. And then so sorry. But I was just like, I guess I did not. I guess those habits, like maybe I hit 5 or 6 effective habits, but the 7th one would have been the magic key. And I just didn't get there.
7th habit would have been like it would have just been like millionaire.
You had another big one.
Yeah, like those self-help books though. I find it better to just like watch a YouTube video that like summarizes it. So I've watched like a couple of YouTube videos like that. Like I think it'd be like 30 minutes or so, and a lot of them say sort of like the same stuff, and then you kind of just get the idea. The annoying thing about self-help though is like you do have to help yourself. You do have to just do it. It's like, okay, I gotta start doing this thing. I don't know if this is gonna be like gross or like TMI or anything, or maybe not. I don't know. But like, for like years I would, like I wasn't like very consistent with flossing my teeth, maybe like once or twice a week, and then I was like, I'm gonna like be more consistent with it. So I listened to like the Atomic Habits, and they said like one of the things to build better habits is like stack a habit on top of itself. So I wash my face and brush my teeth every morning, so I figured like, okay, after I brush my teeth, I'll floss my teeth. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and it's been great. Like I've noticed that I used to have nosebleeds pretty often, and when I did, like they would last pretty long, but now not so much. So maybe that was what I needed to do. That was the only correlation I could think of. So I did it for health reasons, like initially. So now that my nose isn't bleeding as much, and I've had these nosebleeds like my whole life, so it's kind of amazing that that's all I needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Habit stacking is on a YouTube channel called Improvement Pill back in 20. Yeah, habit stacking is that helped me with that. Working out is still like just like a very hard habit for me to still create, especially since after I dislocated my shoulder. I've started making goals for myself that are just more realistic, where it's like, okay, let me just work out 3 days a week for this month. The last month was 2 days a week, so I'm trying to do 3 days a week, and just for at least 30 minutes, ideally before 3 p.m. Did not mean it for all have 3 in all of them, but just to do something, whether it's just riding my bike 30 minutes. I do want to try to go to the gym at least once a week. I did yesterday, so I'm happy about that. It's like, okay, I did my gym for the week. Granted, I took yesterday off, so it made things a little bit easier. But trying to get to the gym and trying to just do either like stability work, mobility work, cardio, just something, or the gym again, just something, instead of like being so stringent like I was when I was seeing my trainer. I'm like, I have an idea I know what I need to do, so let me just do it.
Okay.
But that's hard.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I everything that you said, I felt like for real. And I think my gym membership is about to come out this month, so I need to utilize that as much as possible. But but even then, like, I know for myself, because of the fact that there's a lot going on. I know from the end again, just talking to myself, I know I've been involved in a lot of different stuff. So it's kind of like, okay, I have to set some time for me, just so I can say, okay, I did that, or that's done. And depending upon how things look this week, well, hmm, I would say I would go tomorrow, but that's not even set in stone. Because, oh, I forgot to tell you guys this too, because I have a coaches meeting with the rest of the middle school team for a track season. So that's going to be a whole whirlwind by itself. Uh, yeah, and not necessarily one of the main coaches, more so like a volunteer coach. That kind of makes sense, but it's like, yeah, you get to come in towards like the tail end of the practice, but tomorrow we're supposed to have like a meeting and try to see how all of that's going to look out. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, like you said, El, just getting that habit of going back to the gym and knowing what you need to do is just got to get there. Mm-hmm. Guilty as charged. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there. And mm-hmm. You're not alone. I'll say that much. You're not alone.
No, it's difficult. It's a lot. But Ron, I did want to ask, which books have you been reading or have read by women, and and also chat. I'll put the question in the chat, like, what books have y'all been reading or have read from women that you loved?
So, recently, I was reading the Divergent series, I think by Veronica Roth. I read the first two, and I'm like, okay, like it's not necessarily like my cup of tea, but it is one of those books where, like, I've always wanted to see the movie. I think they have a game for it. Like, I'll read the book and go from there. So I read the first one. The first one was okay. Like, I get it. Read the second one. I'm like, okay, this is getting interesting. So now, like you, El, I'm on the third one, and my bookmark is maybe a third in. And it's weird because in the third book, it kind of bounces back and forth between the two main characters. It goes from their point of view. So one chapter would be her point of view, and then the other chapter would be his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like I said, it's interesting, but also at the same time, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So I want to try to finish that one off. There was a book I read last year, and it was just okay. I want to get into the romance books and whatnot, and Clearly, romance is nah. I can't. This one was very weird. It's called Haunting Adeline, and
Okay.
it was one of those books where a couple of the staff members like, yeah, you want to read this? I'm like, I don't know. It sounds interesting. It looks interesting. I don't know. Like, yeah, you should read it. You should read it. It's really good. It's really good. I'm like, okay, I suppose. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so it's probably about some chick who is being haunted by a ghost or is living in a haunted house and yada yada yada. So I'm already have my own preconceived notions about it. Not thinking that it's a whole entire differently book from like way left field. I'm like, okay. The first few chapters, like, okay, interesting. Little murder mystery. Okay, cool, great. And then that's when everything just went south, like bad. I'm like, really? Like, is this really what we're doing? And there's just some like very explicit scenes that are like detailed in the book, and I'm scratching the back of my head like, are you serious? Like, who reads this type of book and it still has a semi relatively sane mind? Because I'm like, I can't. Like, it's borderline something very much illegal and fetish ish. And I say that very like cautiously because it's like I said, it's just very weird. Very weird. And I got done. Like, I was done. And I told them, they're like, do you like it? Especially the one who actually suggested the book. I'm like, I don't know what's worse. The fact that I actually read the book and very much discussed it, or the fact that now I'm about to look at you really differently because it's like, why? And even the other person, she was like, yeah, it was juicy, like, but I'm like, with him, this is weird. Like, it's very weird. Very weird. And so I'm like, it just confirmed like anything dealing with like romance novels. Sorry, I can't do. I tried. Okay, I tried.
Okay.
And even then, there was another romance novel that I read, which it was interesting, and I'm like, okay, this is okay, and it kind of worked itself out. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I could kind of deal with this. It's interesting. But I read that one, and there was another book that I read. I think it was by a I want to say it was by a Black woman. And
hate reading.
It's hate reading. The Are you talking about the comments you made or the book that I was reading?
I think it was the book that you're reading. Like, you just, the rom-com or the romance novel that just was not your cup of tea in the slightest.
It again, like I told myself like last year, beginning of last year, like, I at least want to read one romantic book, just so I can see if I actually want to, if there's something I want to get involved in, because mines are like science fiction, historical fiction, um, the like, yeah, science fiction, historical fiction. I've dabbled into nonfiction, like the book I was reading.
Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. If you're talking about Haunting Adeline, like, I'm gonna say this much: if you probably won't find it in the library, but if you do manage to find it in the library, check the book out, read it for yourself. I told them I was not reading the second book. Like, I like no. Like, if it's anything like the first one, absolutely not. And the person's like, "Oh no, it's worse than the first one." Like, no. If it's worse than the first one, then absolutely not. Like, no, no, no. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to suffer. Like, no, nah. I'm straight. Like, keep that. And I kind of get where the author was going. It's just, it was one of those things where it's like, man, couldn't you have made it, you know, ooh, I watched the anime. I like the anime. Tokyo Ghoul, I like the anime. The anime was phenomenal. Oh, the anime is phenomenal. Love it. Love it. But as far as like reading Tokyo Ghoul, that one I might do. I might do that one. I probably will do that one. That one looks interesting. But let's see. Because I know I have another hard read that I got. I want to say read Tokyo Ghoul. Okay, bet. Got it. Got it. I want to say it's a non-fiction. It's on my like you. I got a bookshelf full of books and everything else, and there's some I've bought and read. And okay, cool, because I got a Barnes and Noble. I renewed my Barnes and Noble membership, and I will be going there to buy it, and hopefully I can read it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
What does a Barnes and Noble membership entail? Like, what does it include?
It's free. Um, you kind of get like certain perks and stuff sent to your email, get discounts and whatnot off of a lot of the stuff in the store, and of course you get discounts and whatnot. So it's worth it, especially if you're the type of person where you like buying books and like you like to kind of get like little perks for reading. Go for it. Absolutely, it's worth it. It's worth it. But and even then, like, I've noticed that Barnes and Noble, they've, out of all the bookstores that I've been to, they probably have like the biggest selection of manga and graphic novels that I've seen. And a lot of times they're stopped. They are, a lot of times they're stopped, but even then, like, a lot of the mangas, they go like quick. They go very quick, very quick. We were excited because we saw that Don Don was at Barnes and Noble. I'm like, oh, they got this. They got this. Like, oh, snaps, bet. Dude was like, yeah, like, but the thing about it is, like, every time we get like the first like 2-3 sets of the volume in, somebody comes in and buys it, and once the other sets come in, they buy that too. So we're like, we can't keep that on the shelf. I'm like, seriously? They're like, yeah. And even then, the dude was telling me that even though yes, the anime adaptation was better than what he thought it would be, it's best to actually read it because there's a lot more detail in the manga than in the anime. And I'm like, really? He was like, yeah. You're like, if you can get it, like if you can try to get the first 3 just so you can have it, and then as soon as you see another volume, just try to get it. Try to get it because they're flying off the shelf like there's nobody's business. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do that one too. But yeah, and even then, I can't wait for season 2 to come out. Oh, yes, can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah. It was so good. Like, it's not like I didn't believe the hype, but I was like, really? Because like the name just sounds so weird, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right, let me check it out. And I loved it.
Yes.
I especially love the main woman character. I can't remember her name. So it's like Momo or something, I think. It's like a very like simple name.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that she's both smart and a badass.
Yes.
Like she just seems like such a she's not like boy crazy or like worthless or just stupid or like she's just like really cool, and it's just nice to be able to like see that because yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
I agree. I agree. And for me, the one thing that I enjoyed was the opening theme and how a lot of it actually had some influence of the black hip hop culture infused into it. And I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. And even then, like you see who is it? Momoi. What's the guy's name with the glasses? Starts with a T.
I can't remember, but I know that.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about. And then her crush from like way back when, like they're dancing and they're hitting the Carlton from the Fresh Prince. I'm like, that's nice. Like I love that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I love that.
That's true. That's what they're doing, and then
Mama's
doing the Harlem Shake in the middle.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm like, like I don't care what anybody has to say. Like when it comes to paying homage, like that's probably the best way to do it because it was nice. It flowed. It makes sense, and I'm like, I'm loving this. And so on YouTube, on YouTube Music, I have a an anime playlist, and I made sure I put that on there because like that's a song my daughter, she loves it. My oldest, he loves it. Like whenever we play it in my car, they're like, Dad, you got to turn this up. Like you already know. And so I know my speakers are probably blown out, but I don't care because that's just like it's a really hype song. We love it. Let's see. But then, want to circle back to the books and whatnot. I really haven't read a whole lot. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I'm gonna catch myself. I take that back. I do. I have read books by women authors. I think the one that I currently have are a couple of my Halo books. They were written by a woman author, and she does a phenomenal job. I love it. I love the way how she was able to kind of like intertwine her book with all the other Halo books, and it flows together. It flows. And I love it. And I know they came out with like a bunch more, so I'll buy those and read those and get back into the swing of things. But yeah, like yeah, I'm good. I'm good. What about you, Toby? Swinging it down to you. Are there any books you've read recently or have read by women authors?
I really just haven't been reading books like that for real at all. You know, not even. I mean, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about like female manga authors, but I haven't even read any manga, so I couldn't even like reach that in that direction. I know like some people were talking about various books. Like I think was it my sister or someone? I think there was some. It might have been an adaptation of a book, but there was like a Nigerian author who wrote a book called Children of Blood and Bone, which I guess is like a African magic sort of type of book. I haven't read it, but I figured that could be a place to start if I wanted to get into that to like some like what are some African authors. And then, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, even in those self-help books, I guess there was one. I mean, this is very, very like different, but there was like a political what was it called? How stuff works. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it was kind of like talking about how you can improve the government. Like it was kind of like a how could you actually make real change in terms of like from a wonky level, from a technical level. Oh man, I wish I could remember it. It was something kind of about the politics. Was it called the politics industry? Maybe that's what it's called. And kind of how like a lot of the same problems you'll see in other industries exist in government and politics. Let me try to check real quick and see if this is it. That was by I think the politics industry: how political innovation can break partisan gridlock and save our democracy by Catherine Gell. So that was one that I'm pretty sure I ordered, but I never read. Because I remember she was featured on Forward or whatever Yang's podcast was called at the time. And so I was like, oh, this seems like an interesting book. I think this is the kind of a thing up my alley. And then, of course, I never read it. And there's probably some other ones that if I looked at the list of women authors that I, already on my to-do list. But besides that, like, I can't say I've followed Farmer of Bones. Oh, yeah, I think that book... That's what even inspired me to think of the Children of Blood and Bone, because I was like, oh, Bone. I mean, it was just like a memory link. And my sister, I mean, she's really into different Nigerian or Igbo, specifically, kind of culture, like whether it's poetry, whether it's like film. So I know she probably would have some good recommendations. Oh, it was interesting. Story of an orphan young Haitian woman living in the Dominican Republic. Okay. Well, that could actually be interesting.
Yeah.
Got some island. Yeah, some history at island. I was actually literally just thinking, like, I don't know, like, any Caribbean author. I mean, there's a lot of... I just don't actually know that many contemporary authors in general, but that would be an interesting thing to look up. Like, who are some actual like, Caribbean authors?
Yeah, that's true.
As well. Just generally a lot of things that would be kind of interesting to see. Like, I mean, people share things on Instagram. People share things that they promote, some books. But yeah, I don't know. There was actually something random I just saw Like someone posted it to their story. Like this, I guess it was a poem called "A Black Girl and Her Braids." It was actually, I was like, if I could find the video, I'll send it because it was pretty catchy. It was like women on a beach because it was like black girls, or it was a braids and beach go together, like a match made in heaven or something. But it was like this, it's like, I guess, an Instagram sound, but you know, you have the original one by the actual poet, like author. Then you, I guess, maybe other sounds that used it. So, you know, I think there was some encouragement to use her actual sound, but this video did use her actual sound. And when I went to the sound and then went to her page, there was like an actual, like, you know, she had the full poem, the full spoken word piece. It was for free, but she had it on different channels for distribution or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't really read poetry like that either, but at least that's like a work, right? You know? So it's definitely out there. I think I've been a little bit more detached from the space, and like there was a time where I used to get a lot more recommendations. I mean, some of them were a bit more historical, some of them might be contemporary, but now I don't really know. I really couldn't tell you what like books people are like writing right now. Like what are things that are being written that people are recommending, especially with female authors. I don't know.
Toby, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you know of any like women authors in the tech space? I know that you were reading or looking into books about like, you know, like software engineering, and if you know of any, because I don't really look for those books, but whenever books like that, or like books about like leadership and things like that come about, like if like if a coworker who's been at the company for a long time, especially if they're like a director and above, and like they leave and like they want to give out some of their books, I have some of them. I haven't read any of them. Funny enough, one of the books I got from my old CMO was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I haven't read that yet. I was like, oh, I saw that she had that. But yeah, I know it's like a lot of like leadership books are written by men. A lot of tech books are written by men, and it's a little aggravating.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, I guess I don't read all those books either. Like, I know there was a Sheryl Sandberg from Meta. Like, I know she did. She
was like a lean in person, right? Was that her?
Yeah, that sounds right. That's probably Lean In Women Work in the Will to Lead, 2013. Yeah, so that was yeah, that was an interesting thing. But apparently it has its own controversies because kind of like upper middle class, mostly white, like the perspective. So I guess there was some controversy around that one. But that's like probably the biggest example I can think of. That's actually so interesting because I definitely know there have to be, because there are women guests, for instance, on the podcast or like that will speak about something, and there was something good I actually just saw. I just saw this. I must have been in one of my WhatsApp groups because I was going through and sort of like decluttering stuff from my phone, and I remember seeing this. This one, I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. Like this one talk. I mean, she may have had a book with this, so actually, if I could find that, then I'll link or I'll put the name of it. But it was kind of getting into like what, how people react to you, or like you can only control certain things, and like, she was talking about friendship and like how friendship is hard now in your 20s. Like it's so different. She talked about how like you have proximity, you have like you're in the same group of, just things that kind of make sense. But it was interesting how she broke it down. Like you're in the same kind of friend groups and the same school groups. There are all these things that in college you get even closer physically with a new group of people, or some of the same from high school, but then it then drops off dramatically. And so they say that it's just a lot harder. She was saying how it's harder to maintain and make friendships, and how like it's just, and then like even coworkers, as much as you're in life together, like you spend most of your time with them, but you're different places of life. As much as you're together, you're in such different phases of life that you wouldn't necessarily become best friends with them. Some people could, but likely those are like your age mate coworkers, where you can go out, do happy hour or whatever. And so that was an interesting talk. And I know for a fact she has to have a book, or multiple. That was actually, I didn't watch the whole video. Like, it was like I think someone shared it in some WhatsApp group. So it was on my phone and I was like clearing out videos of higher storage. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. And then there was like an episode on, what's the guy's name? Jay Shetty. So there was a Jay Shetty episode, probably relatively recently. Well, this was probably January, because I don't know. So that would actually be an interesting one to look up. And I don't remember her role. I don't know if she was a coach. I don't know if she was a motivational speaker or what, but that's probably the highest equivalent I can think of someone who like was speaking or like at some kind of high level and had a book to show for. I guess TED Talks too. Like if you're on a TED Talk or a platform, there are these people who most likely have a book. And there's plenty of women on these platforms. So I guess that's actually a good way, outside of just Googling around. Like if you find some like good speeches or some good interviews on a podcast type of space, those people probably will have a book to follow up.
Yeah,
with
true.
It.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting exercise doing this to think about, because there are some interesting things that I could find or go back into. Okay, why making friends as an adult feels impossible. Mel Robbins is the woman's name.
Yeah, I was thinking of her too, but I know she's not in the tech space. She's definitely in like the leadership space.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you are talking about tech. Yeah, she was a former lawyer. So, okay.
Okay. I was like, maybe she was in tech and I didn't know. But
yeah, no, I mean, for tech, I don't know. Yeah. That's such a specific, it's also in general. So, I mean,
it's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's all very true. Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you for Aisha for that that link down there. Or that book name. Yeah, that's so interesting. Like when it comes to tech, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not really, I guess, reading a ton of like tech specific books either.
I guess it's just like knowing of authors, because like I like I recognize names, especially like in the email marketing space, as like what Aisha and I are in email development, email marketing. So I've definitely seen the name Virginia Eubanks before. I have a book by an email marketing guy that I okay, I'll definitely I'll look into that. I'll check it out. And I've heard about him in the email marketing space. I think he actually follows me on Twitter. His name's like Chad something. Can't remember his name, but I have a marketing book because once again, somebody like a higher up was leaving the company, so they were giving away books, and that was one of the books. I was like, oh, I recognize this guy's name. Like, I'll add it to my book collection. Look smart.
Yeah.
Toby tells his.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, is this about something me? First, because I was like, okay, this is probably some like lore, some kind of tall tale type of message. But then I was like, oh, wait, this is serious. This doesn't seem like one of these like, Demon Time or Toby story type of thing. So I was like, oh, wait, this seems like an actual serious thing that Ruckus said. So I just assumed that was like, yeah, that it was just combined. Like you're just maybe saying that this is a good point or a true point. I mean, yeah, that's a good point though in terms of not being well off. I think I was also just looking up authors in tech because I know for a fact like there has to be some prominent authors and I just can't think of them. I know Kara Swisher I thought of, but she's a journalist when I looked it up. She maybe has written 3 books, Kara Swisher, but and she of course she has a podcast. Besides that, I'm like, that's actually interesting because I think I generally like, I mean, if I got a book that was tech related, it really would have been like you're trying to work and like learn stuff about the industry. And even then I didn't really read those books. But if it's like just kind of an informational book, that is so interesting. Like that's something I haven't really thought about that I haven't necessarily read books about the industry, really, like, or books that are kind of societally engaged about industry. I mean, of course, the closest you have is stuff like, and even I didn't even really read this, which is so bad, but The War on Normal People, or like you have certain books that are. I think I listened to part of it on the
audiobook. I listened to it because like it was like a free. It was like on YouTube. Somebody uploaded the audiobook.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
have the book, but I haven't read the physical book, but I've listened to it.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, I read it. I still have it on my bookshelf. Oh my gosh. Ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's a must read. It's a must read.
Must
read. Yeah.
And the reason I thought of that too is because I just saw that one, the automated inequality. Now I'm assuming that has to do with like, you know, automation and maybe like the pay gap or like how maybe it affects women or minorities more. I have to look at what automated inequality actually is, but just looking at the title, I was like, oh, that seems like pretty cool. It's like automation, but then focused on the equity and equality piece, unless I'm completely off about that.
I want to say I definitely heard her name, seen that name, Virginia. I think she might be in the email marketing space. I might be confusing her with somebody else. Let me actually look her up.
Oh, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, looking at it.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
because I was thinking of like automation, like email automation, and it's like eliminating inequality. But yeah, my bad. I misunderstood the. Yeah, I guess I must have confused her with somebody else. I feel like the name Eubanks. I've definitely seen that before with somebody else. I could be wrong.
It does talk about data mining, policy algorithms, just different like database discrimination. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense.
Could have some overlap there.
This looks good.
Okay, so this one actually has to go on my list for real. It's very modern too.
Oh, is that Barnes & Noble?
Is that Barnes & Noble?
Oh yeah, because you were just talking about Barnes & Noble. That would actually be a good one to make a membership for. Yeah.
I just might get this one.
How high-tech tools profile, police, and punish the poor. It's a pretty short book too. It's only like 270 pages. It's not bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Just okay, good. Okay, I like that. Yeah. Books about tech and society. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, what are some high-profile books that are? I mean, yeah, everything I'm thinking of is definitely not tech. It's just like other, other books. What's her name? Does she? I know she. Yeah, she definitely wrote books. Yeah. That's completely separate.
Okay, so we're going to have to look up some more women tech novelists or just writers. I mean, yeah, there's like women tech writers, like I'm sure for like TechCrunch and Wired and things like that. But for like books, it's gonna be interesting. Of course, because like yeah, they have to exist. They must exist. I'm sure. Just it's like, who are the big tech women names?
Okay, let me look at 10 must-read books written by women in tech. Okay, good. So I'll put this link I'll probably put this in the Discord just so we can all reference it later. So there's one thing, enterprisersproject.com, supported by Red Hat. Okay, that's pretty huge. So Red Hat put this list of books. And then gracehopper.com. Of course, Grace Hopper would do this. That's great. So Grace Hopper actually has, I only know of it because of the conference, but I didn't realize that there's a bigger organization. And for those who don't know, Grace Hopper was a very big pioneer, woman in computing. So there's like a big conference, typically in Florida. I'm pretty sure usually it's in Orlando, because that's just one of the few spaces that has the capacity. I think they've done it in a few other cities like Houston, but they'll have the conference for women in computing. I never went. I wish I had. My brother was part of like a scholarship initiative where he was linked to the Center for Women in Computing at our university, or Center for Women in Technology, CWIT. I was also an affiliate with that program too, but I was already going to other diversity conferences like TAPIA for diversity in computing. So I didn't really, like Grace Hopper it was actually it was like a week or two after, so it never really made sense. And it was always like early October. So it was like, okay, the semester is kind of getting into full gear. I already missed almost a week, late September for TAPIA. And then it doesn't make sense to try to go to Grace Hopper with what funds, very competitive scholarships. But Grace Hopper herself, she was an admiral, I believe, in the Navy or something. And she basically, the term computer bug was invented by her because there was literally a physical bug in some machinery that was causing an issue. And so there's like a famous picture of the bug that they found. And so now we use that term whenever something goes wrong in code. So Grace Hopper, it looks like there's a website that actually shows some, woman written books, must read books by women in tech by Ariel Spares. Very interesting. Yeah. So she's in control. That's cute. How women can take back tech to communicate, investigate, problem solve, broker deals, and protect themselves in the digital world. But the control, of course, is like CTRL and caps. So that's actually pretty cool. So yeah, no, this is good. I'll link this as well in Discord.
Okay.
Oops, what just happened?
Okay. So we definitely got our homework cut out for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. 25. Get to Discord now before I lose track of it. Because I know I'm on my phone. Strange. It's back here. Whoops.
I would like to challenge us, because I would like this challenge as well, to read a book by an author of the opposite gender of the genre that you usually read. That if it's like predominantly, like for me, like romance novels are predominantly written by women, I think. I'm gonna try to find a book of a romance novel that's written by a man.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah. And also for like content that you consume, not even necessarily just books. It could be podcasts. It could be, if you listen, for example, like podcasts about tech or podcasts about wood, or watching videos on YouTube about like woodworking or anything like video games or what have you. Like if you notice that you find yourself watching predominantly, men, try watching someone of a woman. Bonus points if that person is a woman of color.
Ooh, actually, I got that one off the way. Thank you, Twitch.
Stop watching. There's like a woman of color, which there's more than likely would be. I was like, I shouldn't even be talking right now. I should have the men be talking. like that kind of.
It was the equivalent, the woman equivalent of a red pill. I mean, you have people who are like hardcore, divest, like hardcore, like no men or black men, no, but like, but I'm wondering like what actually does it look like for a red pill woman? I know there's some women who are popular, like they'll say things that can be popular by some red pillars. I don't remember their names right now, but like sometimes they'll essentially agree with certain talking points, or they'll say like, women, you got to listen to this type of stuff. Yeah, you have the trad wife too. I guess that's maybe that is kind of it. Like, you have that, since a lot of the people are kind of looking for trad. I don't even know what they're looking for, to be honest.
No, they're looking for liberal women because they don't have to just be. They don't say that, but from like what it seems like, they look like, from what I've heard, they look for liberal women for like a few reasons. One of them being they don't want to, when they date like very like right-wing conservative women, these women expect the man to just be the man all the time, just manly manning it up, and they just can't put on that facade 24/7. So they date a liberal woman because she's a little bit more open-minded and doesn't really require him to put on the facade of masculinity.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess traditional masculinity, whatever all that wants to be at this moment. Or they try to go after like, very like independent, strong, oftentimes left-leaning liberal women to break them down and try to like capture them. From what I've heard from just social media, so like who knows, but it's sort of funny because like they say like, oh, we want our women to be that. It's like, well, there's all these women like that. Why don't you just go date them? There's so many. Just go to like a church in a small town. You'll find several of them. But you're not doing that. You're out here making our lives miserable.
Yikes.
Then again, they may want to be careful because a lot of them women in the small town churches, they'll tell you about yourself very much respectfully and politely, tell you where to go, how fast to go, what to wear as you're going it. And then if you just so happen to come back around again, they're going to ask you, how's the trip? Oh, yeah. But that's a different topic for a different time.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so I gotta do my homework. So I have to find an author.
Or just like a form of media. Yeah, like if it's YouTube, podcasts, I don't know, like a particular genre of like podcasting YouTubers or like Twitch streamers or something. Like if like you watch Twitch streamers that play like horror games and it's like mainly men, try to see if you can find one that's a woman.
I mean, I already follow, like, I got a bunch of them that I follow that are women, like, and they're real cool.
Okay.
There's one that I've been watching for like a while, for a long while now. And if she decides to go, is she live right now? Nope, she is not. But if she does go live, I will drop her link in the Discord, just so you guys can follow and whatnot. Like I said, she plays all different kinds of games. I know a lot of times she does play Phasmophobia, and basically what Phasmophobia is, it's a game where you, in a sense, you go on a ghost hunt. and you have to use various different pieces of equipment to gather evidence to kind of narrow down what kind of ghost, what type of ghost haunts the residents. And you have to do it all while trying to stay alive and not get attacked by the ghost. Because otherwise, if you get attacked by the ghost, you die, and that's it. And if all the members of your team die, you failed the the hunt, basically. And so it's a cool game. She does that. She does a lot of RPG. She does a lot of Apex. She does a lot of Marvel Rivals. So she's a very variety gamer, but a lot of times she's more so into like the RPG. So like Final Fantasy Online. She does a lot of the new Monster Hunter game that just came out. She plays that a lot. So yeah, that one's already in the bag. I already got that one in the bag.
Okay.
But no, like I know for me, because I wouldn't say I want to get back into reading. I have been reading. It's just that I have to have that mindset of reading. I want to like get more science fiction books that are written by women, and especially if I can find one that's written by a Black woman, like perfect. I'm good. I would love to read it.
Okay.
So if anybody knows any like Black woman or women of color that are in the science fiction space of books, let me know. I'll check it out and I'll at least read one of them. At the very least.
Okay.
Fair. Yeah. No, I think like in terms of different content, I mean, this is definitely much shorter form and not like, not definitely not books, but I know like a lot of the comedy that I see, like there's certain Black female, like pretty much I would assume they're in their like early to mid 20s. Like, I mean, I don't know. You never can tell, but it could be like later 20s. But I definitely remember seeing a lot of content from people like that. Even though I think I used to definitely watch more guys, like especially in the 2019 era, 2020. There was especially like I think there's certain West Coast YouTube comedians, like skits, effectively, like different skits and different stuff. But now I feel like I see a lot more women, or at least I see some more, I should say, not necessarily a ton overall. I see a mix of guys and women. I think there's like pretty much just like two. Like I see some recommended that are definitely guys. Like RDC World, of course, always going to come up. They're always going to come up. But I've seen some women who are like also in that kind of like Black nerd, Black anime type of like skit space. Or like it could be any variety of stuff, but I'll see some skits and I'm like, oh snap. Or like I'll see something like that specifically like the Black nerd stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of dope. Like you're always gonna have people like RDC World or and who are some big ones? Caleb City, I actually never really watched. I've only seen some of his stuff recently. But there's some guys that are very well known for being like in that kind of Black anime, Keen Vader. But then there are some women like it's My Senpai. I found a few. I haven't seen her videos in a while, but I saw her videos a few years ago, and I was like, "Oh, she is actually really good." So I guess like there's that, but I know it's not like reading, but that is like content that I happen to like see that kind of like interest that I've had, but then women focused or like just women created, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I'll have to look at more mediums in general, more media. In terms of like podcasts or newsletter. I mean, there are some newsletters and stuff that I definitely do see from women, or like I got certain subscriptions like from Medium, actually, ironically enough. But I'll have to like do some inventory and think like, because I think there actually are things that I'm already consuming, though they're not necessarily all from women of color, But any case, yeah, I think it's a good challenge to be able to Nnedi Okorafor. Oh yeah, there's a whole Afrofuture conference. I'm pretty sure this was in the Midwest too. I can't remember the name of it, but there was like it was probably called WakandaCon actually. Well, WakandaCon was one, a 3-day Afrofuture con. That was one thing, but it wasn't. Okay, so it was in 2020 in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure there was another con of like some Afrofuture convention. And granted, again, we're talking about women here, right? So it would have to be like an Afrofuture woman perspective. I'll have to look at some showrunners and writers, because I know there's one show Disney Plus is premiering, Nigeria Afrofuture show. Oops, not aggro, Afro Future Disney Plus, and I have to see who created that. Iwaju. So who created Iwaju? I actually do need to watch it. It's British-based entertainment company, Kugali Media. Kugali, that's definitely. Is that Rwanda? Kugali. Oh, Kigali, I think, is the capital of one of those. Kugali, I have no idea what Kugali means, but it's probably Swahili. Okay. So anyway, I'll do some more research into this because I was trying to see who the creator was. I think it's a woman. Olufikayo Adiola. Just kidding. That's a man. You can never tell with these names. They're so gender neutral. Fair enough. But there is a woman though, Halima Hudson. She was one of the screenwriters. Executive producer, Jennifer Lee and Byron Howard. She's a white woman though, and Byron Howard's a white man. Oh, this is Disney, so it is what it is. It still seems like a diverse production team, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a lot of the director and screenplay. A lot of these are people of color. Just the producers are white. Christina Chen, woman. She's also a producer for Moana too. Cool, and Encanto. That's cool. So I mean, yeah, film is a medium, right? So that's also an interesting one. Afrofuture is the one we're living. So anyway, thank you, Ender Buckley, for that. Like that, because that's inspiring me to look at some stuff as well. But I'll pause it there because I know it's definitely getting to that time, or got to that time. And Discord is forever. Well, we hope. So we can always chat there, and you all can give your recommendations or your progress for whatever you decide that you're going to look for in terms of books or mediums outside of in your area of interest, but opposite gender, or opposite what you normally consume gender-wise.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, we're going to land this plane that Ron so beautifully flew.
Sure. Yeah.
Bring the stream to a close.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It has been a great stream, and we couldn't have done it without you all. You guys are all amazing, wonderful, incredible people. And we hope that you all start or try to look into, more women authors, more women creators and artists, in all forms of media, just to see a different perspective. And it's definitely very open-minded and eye-opening and just awesome,
Yes.
It's weird how I don't feel like this should be an ask, but here we are. Women, of course, deserve to be in all spaces and are in all spaces. It's just to find us. It's unfortunately a little bit, we have to do a little bit of digging. Us as Black folk, we're used to that, especially when we're looking for, like, I don't know, outfits or clothes or haircuts, hairstyles, especially. Can't just look up men's hairstyles. You gotta look up Black men hairstyles. It's just gonna show a bunch of white people. So, yeah. And then they want to be like, it's not racist. It's like, it's not. It's just y'all are kind of taking up the whole market share of man or woman. Yeah. So, like, it's annoying. Anywho, thank y'all so much for coming. We love y'all. We hope y'all have a great night. Hope you sleep well. If any of you are driving, I hope you all are driving safely.
Oh, God.
Someone might be driving. If y'all are working, I hope we made your workday a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all so much, and y'all have a great night.
Yes. Good night, everybody.
Yes.
Drive safely, get to your destinations, work safely, all the other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks, but of course, catch us in the Discord.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.